If you're wondering if you are the right person, the right candidate for this scholarship, this is a question I honestly ask myself every day leading up to my application, because it is a lot of work, and I was wondering, like, oh, is it even worth it? And I remember, like, maybe 2 days before the application was due and I was still working on it, I went on Facebook and there was like a billion different groups about this scholarship, and someone posted that their embassy told them to not even bother applying if their minimum average for every year wasn't 80%. And I was like, I don't have an 80% for every year or every semester. And I was like, should I even bother applying? Is there even a point? I don't know. And I also went through like a family tragedy like the day before it was due. My life was a mess, but somehow I managed, and I just like, whatever, let's just do it. I had an issue with my transcripts because my university printed the wrong GPA at some point, and I had to include that in a letter inside of my portfolio as well. It was all just really messy, but I still sent it over. And then after a few weeks, so I'm basically going to explain how I received the scholarship and the process you have to go through, because it's very long, it's very draining, and you think you're going to die halfway. A few weeks after the applications, I was actually traveling. So I was really concerned because I was like, oh no, what if they want to have an interview, and no. But I mentioned that, like, because I wasn't going to be able to answer my own phone after a specific date after the application, I put in the folder, or on top of the folder, so they wouldn't miss it. I said, I will be out of the country for this day to this day. Please contact me at this email address, even though they already had my email address, but I was like, just in case, so there's no issues. I even gave them my Caltalk. I think they didn't contact me through there, but you know, I was like, just in case, if you need to make a call or something, contact me through there. Because at the end of the day, someone is going to look through your portfolio, right? Or through your application. It's a very human experience when they look through it. So if they're like, oh, this person is a good candidate, they're unavailable here, I'll just contact them through here. Like, it's very simple. So don't overthink the application process. But anyways, so I was out of the country, and after like maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, they emailed me and said that there was like some issues with my application, specifically my GPA, because the GPA conversion is actually really annoying if depending on what your school uses. My school uses a 10.0 scale, but it doesn't reflect like it doesn't reflect the 100%. It's really annoying, and my school refused to help me convert it or anything. So I used one of those like online ones, but I didn't pay for like the official one. And the embassy was okay with that. They were just like, yeah, but you just need to fix this because I basically input it the wrong way, if that makes sense. It was really annoying because I was very tense, stressed out. Like, what if they like throw me out after this? But they didn't. They kept going with me. So they were like, please fix it this way and resubmit. And after like a few of back and forths, we eventually got to like a place where it was like they accepted it, and I was like, cool. Then I didn't hear from them for like, that was in April. I sent like, I think one follow-up email, and then after a second I was just like, hey, just wondering if you could get back to me. And then after that one I was like, okay, I probably didn't get the scholarship, and I moved on because I was already still out of the country, so I was very distracted, and I was like, I guess it wasn't for me. That sucks. That was a lot of hard work. That doesn't make any sense. I worked so hard. So then basically a whole month and a half later, in May, I got a call from someone at the embassy to say that actually my scholarship had been sent to need already, and next week I would be receiving like the next round of information. So this whole time I thought I didn't make it. I moved on with my life. I got a new job and stuff, and then they were like, no, actually you're still in the running. And I was like, cool. So I wait for the next week, and that's when Need publishes this list that includes all of the embassy track and the accepted university track people as well. So miraculously my name was on the spreadsheet, and the next phase was basically the schools had to accept me now. So you have 3 choices in embassy track, which is actually the benefit. University track, you are putting all of your eggs in one basket from one school, so that's a little risky if you are not like a full-on candidate. But yeah, so at that point, your schools had like, I think 3 weeks to review applications and get back to you. During this time, they can also interview you, send you follow-up questions, ask for additional documents. One of my schools did interview me. It was really short. It was only 8 minutes. I don't think they even read my application because they were just asking me questions like, so how do you know Korean? Or how well is your Korean? Why are you interested in this program? Etc., etc. And it was really simple. And like I said, only 8 minutes, and they gave me a chance to ask my own questions as well. I really appreciated it. During this time, I highly recommend you take your time to think about any questions you might have. And then another school asked me for additional supporting documents regarding my parents. And that cost me a lot of money, just FYI, because they wanted it to arrive in Korea within the week. While we're on the topic of schools, I also think this is one of the most underrated but most important topics when applying to Kgsp, because I mean, this is where you're going to spend 2-ish years, right? So you want to make sure that you choose the right school. Here are some tips from myself, as well as things I picked up from other people. Number 1, look for a program in English. Depending on what your program is, it might not be available. Arts programs are much more rare in English, so yeah. Moving on. Number 2, if you can't get a program in English, try to find professors in English. And you can do that by just researching their names online, seeing where they attended their own schooling, if they've studied abroad. That helps a lot. Because a professor who studied only in Korean schools versus a professor who studied in different countries probably has a better, maybe, better grasp of English, and it'll make communicating as a student much easier down the line. So, yeah. English, unless you're perfectly fluent in Korean. In that case, do what you want to do. Another thing that you would want to do is actually just contact the schools. You can straight up send them an email, ask to speak to a professor, be like, hi, I'm applying to this program you probably don't know about, but I would like to basically be your student, and I was wondering if you can answer these questions about the program, etc., etc. Maybe you can create a link, and then they'll be interested in working with you for your thesis or whatever it is. But before that, just getting a good grasp of what your program is about, what the staff there are about, if there are opportunities for you while you're a student, are great. So contact your schools as well. A lot of people, because you have 3 choices, I recommend putting one choice that's a little more of a sure thing. I think now that there's a rule that you have to choose a school that is outside of Seoul, at least one. And that's probably your chance of guaranteeing you get accepted, because there are some people who just end up putting all of the sky schools and then they don't get accepted to either. And that really sucks, because once you get accepted to need, I feel like you shouldn't worry too much, because you're almost guaranteed the scholarship. But unless you do something like choose only the best schools in the country, then you might be setting yourself up for some disappointment. So yeah, anyways, so the schools have about 3 weeks to figure it out. Like I said, I did 1 interview, 1 school asked for supplemental documents, 1 school only asked me to confirm 1 thing, and that was it. Everything's done through email, until everything's done through email until you are told to make a call, so don't stress out too much during that time. You are basically almost there. You are so close. After those 3 weeks are done and you get your acceptances or rejections, NEED gives you about 2 weeks for you to make a final choice on which school you want to attend. I think it's about 2 weeks. You also need to, during that time, do a physical medical examination. The medical examination is really tough on me because I had to do it during work hours. It was really complicated. They lost one of my samples. I had to redo it, etc. So do that as soon as possible. If you get the form on a Monday, be at the doctor's office on Tuesday. I also want to recommend that depending on what country you're from, you have a savings account for the scholarship, because the amount of money I spent on these forms and getting them notarized, all these things, it really added up. I probably spent around $500 maybe during that time, unexpectedly, just like having to get more documents notarized, having to order more documents from my school, having to pay for the doctor to sign some papers for me, like, even though healthcare is free. Like, I still ended up paying so much money. So have that, like, make a mental note of that. I also recommend that the second you apply, you start saving up money, because your life is about to get really complicated throughout the next year, so you want to have as much money as you can, supplementary money, whatever. During those 2 weeks, yeah, you choose your school, do your medical examination. If you are still struggling to choose your school, I also recommend that you go in the previous spreadsheets, which will be on the website, I think the Learning Korea website. They have spreadsheets for like every year basically of Kgsp students. If you look there, you'll find me, and you'll find like people who've done your program before. So that's what I did. I Control F'd for like the past, I think going up to 2013, to basically anyone who did my program at my school. Then I stalked them. Then I messaged them. I was looking for them through like the most random websites. Like, I was looking through portfolios, I was looking through DeviantArt websites, YouTube pages, like whatever. And then finally someone messaged me back on Instagram. And yeah, I asked that person all these questions about the school, what I should expect, which professors I should butter up to, etc., just so I can have an idea if that's a school I wanted to attend. I also did this for like my other schools that I was considering, until eventually I made a choice, and that was it. So once we sent in that final choice plus our medical documents, I feel like it was a little bit of silence from Need for a bit, and then you're waiting for one final spreadsheet, and that's the one that basically says you're accepted, this is it, 100%, you're done, like you made it through this process. And that spreadsheet actually had complications the year I did it. It went online, then it went off, then it went up incorrectly, etc., etc. It was a really stressful morning, because I woke up and I was like, am I in or not? So that spreadsheet also tells you what school you'll be going to for the language program. I think there's about like, most of them are regional choices, so I had a feeling in my heart I was gonna end up in Daejeon, and I did end up in Daejeon. So yeah, once you have your language school, that's it, bro, you're in. Start packing up your life. Of course, though, you won't get flown out probably till the end of August anyways, but you have about less than 2 months to reorganize your entire life. So good luck with that. But congratulations on making it that far. I also recommend at that point that someone starts, if no one has already, starts a Facebook group for your cohort of students, because you're gonna want each other, you're gonna have wanted to be in contact with one another already anyways. Like, there should be someone made a Facebook group for our year, thankfully, and it was really, really helpful, because we all talked to each other about our choices, what schools we're going to, what programs, etc., what the interviews were like, and we made like group chats from that for like, who's going to this university, or considering this university, let's make a group chat and talk about it. And then we were like, oh, this is what they asked me for the interview, do you know about the dorms, do you know about this, do you know about that? So it was really helpful. So start a Facebook group for your year if no one has already, and then after that start a chat for your fellow students. When you have your language year, also start a group chat for everyone on Kakao Talk. Do not do WhatsApp, Kakao Talk. And then that will be your group chat for like ever, basically, for you and all your other students, and it'll be great. This video is already really long, I know that, but it's because I want to offer as much information that I can based on my experience and my research. I'm also going to leave some things in the comments, I guess, for things that didn't occur to me while I was talking. But yeah, I also want to add something about dorms. Dorms are just like as important as everything else regarding your school choice. So when you are choosing your school, it's important that you look at the dorm. So depending on if it's important to you, like if you want to have like a fun life when you live in Korea, if you want to live in Seoul or Busan or wherever, location is important. So if you plan on living in the dorms, like maybe you want to know like if you're living in Incheon or Suwon or just in the center of Seoul. So that was something that was important to me. And one of the schools I applied to, I ended up, like one of my really big things was the dorm, because I was like, I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere, and I also don't want to like live with 4 people, because the dorm was 4 people and that was a bit much for me. Some schools also offer scholarships to you in the dorms. So my school has a 200,000 won reduction on our 2-person bedroom dorms, which I don't really want to live with a roommate for 2 years, but you know, that helps because housing in Seoul is actually a crisis. If you don't have money for a deposit, it's gonna be a struggle, not gonna lie. So these dorms are really important. So my school has a 200,000 won reduction. Some schools have 100, some schools have more. I think SNU has a really good deal for master's students, and it's like a 1-person bedroom. So that's like the jackpot, really. Keep like note of this, it's really important. Some schools also require that you pay upfront, and yeah, so you know, figure out whether you're gonna have money, email them, ask if you can have a special situation because you're gonna be a Kgsp student, and so they should know that money's tight. You should definitely consider that very heavily. And I also receive a lot of questions from people asking me if I'm doing okay financially. The answer is, I guess. I was used to living, like, I had a career back in Canada. I made my own money. I paid rent, etc., etc. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard being on this budget because I'm used to spending more on myself. However, can I survive? Absolutely. I'm surviving. I have enough money to pay for my phone bill, to pay for my food, to pay our dorm expense, which is about 200,000 won as well, because the language school gave us a reduction. And I have enough money for like other side extra things when I feel like it. And I also have enough money to go to Seoul every once in a while and stuff like that. So you are living, I wouldn't like comfortably, but there are definitely ways you can always save money. Cooking for yourself is also one of them, which is why I highly recommend you check if your school that you're applying to has a kitchen for you, because you will save so much money if that's the case. My school for next year does not have a kitchen. I didn't think that far, and I'm not really sure, like, that's one of the reasons I don't really want to live in the dorm, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes. Once you are accepted, I also recommend you just start studying Korean right then and there, because Hanggugo is no joke, y'all. It's really hard. And yeah, it'll just be so much easier, because when you hit the language school, they're gonna make you start running, and you're not gonna stop running for many months, unless a virus takes over and there's a pandemic and school is canceled. In that case, I don't know. But yeah, otherwise I feel like I've pretty much mentioned the most important beats. If you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer everything in a timely manner. I hope this video was helpful to you in some way. If you want me to read your essay, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. I don't have the time. Many people have asked me, but I don't have the time. I might even start a business to start reading essays next year, but for now, leave your comments in the questions, and also consult the comments, because I'll leave some extra information there, and consult the NEED website and look through all the documents they post online, because those are very helpful. So yeah, good luck, and I'll hopefully see you in Korea. Oh, and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content in the future, and yeah.